Welcome to SacredJourney.Earth. I would like to speak to you a little bit about the process of Dietas. Dietas are ancient practices that come from the indigenous people of the Amazon forest. These people have been working with the sacred medicines for thousands and thousands of years. And in this time, these people have found a way to work with these medicines. And one of the ways that I found, it came from the question, how can we be prepared to work with these medicines, these plants, with the spirits of the forest? What can we do to prepare to be ready to work with those strong forces? And in that process, they came to the initiations, the rite of passage of Dietas. And Dietas are the ways to prepare you to work with those medicines. That doesn't mean that if you have gone through a Dieta that you're completely ready. It's just a learning system, and like with every learning system, there has to be a certain talent, a certain calling inside of you before you start that process. And that process will be like a development of that talent, that calling. Almost like being a musician. You can study 10,000 hours on a certain instrument, but if you don't have any talent for music, you most probably will never touch the heart of a person playing that music, even when you have practiced so much on an instrument that you almost master that instrument. But at the same time, if you have talent and the calling to become a musician, and then you practice 10,000 hours, then you will be somebody that can really touch somebody's heart with your music. The same is with the process of Dietas. If you have the calling, the talent to work with the plants, then you go through that process of Dietas. It can well be that you will be really prepared for that work and in the right place to do so. So what are Dietas? I'm going to speak in this video especially about the Dietas that come from the Yawanawá Indians, the tribe that lives in the Amazon in Brazil. A tribe that I've spent quite some time with and have done also several Dietas with. Dietas are long periods that people spend in the jungle, mostly in solitude or with a few people that guide you, or with people that are also in the Dieta, but away from the village and away from the Western world. So you are in the jungle without electricity, without cell phone reception, without the Wi-Fi, without any connection to the outside Western world. So you are there just in the forest, in your small house, with people taking care of you, teaching. Very precious time. In this time in the Western world, to be out of communication is a huge gift. We are so connected to our phones, to our computers, to any ways of communication, social media, that we forget how precious it can be to be just in nature, just you, connecting with yourself, connecting with nature, and connecting with all those energies around you. That time, very precious. The mind goes in many directions in daily life. I have this appointment, I have to send this email, this call, I need to go to that place. Your mind is busy with that kind of organization all the time. To calm those impulses of the mind in the Western world, that happens by being in the jungle, by yourself, without any communication. And it can take up to 3-4 weeks before those impulses of the mind of communication, checking Facebook, going on Instagram, going to all those places, calm down till you can go to deeper layers of the mind. It's like having a glass of muddy water that's been stirred for a long time, and then you put it on a table and leave it there without moving it. What will happen with that water, that muddy water, that the mud will slowly go to the bottom of the glass. And after a while it will be pure clear water. The same thing happens with the mind, with all those impulses of the mind of communication. When you go into the jungle without any communication, for an extended period of time, the mind will slowly settle. All those impulses will settle till you go to very clear mind spaces. And in my own dietas, I have reached clarities of mind in dietas that are really, really beautiful. And of course, with that settling of that dirt, all those impulses, many things will come up. It will be a very challenging time to go into Dieta. The Dieta is not an easy process. No, you're going to face your own inner things, your demons, your fears. All those things will come up. But the clarity you can reach through going through that process is very, very special. I have no comparison with any other modality where I reach such clear stages of mind, of thoughts, really allowing me to go into my heart, connecting with my soul. Very special. So in the time in the jungle, you'll be restricted by what you can eat, what you can drink, and also in that time will be a complete celibacy, a complete pause of sexual energy. So in the Dieta will be no sexual contact with another person. The food you eat on each Dieta is a little bit different for which kind of Dieta you will do. But in general, it's no sweets, no sugar, no fruits. All the sweet impulses that you take in your mouth will be taken out. Also less salt, or ideally no salt at all. And depending on which dieta you do, no meat, no fish. Some dietas you can take certain kinds of meat, some dietas you can certain kind of fish, depending on the kind of dieta. So a very simple diet. Mainly what you will eat is corn, green bananas, and a kind of potatoes that are called macaxeira or yuca. No, maybe you can eat a little bit of rice and beans, depending which dieta, depending on which stage of your dieta, but a very simple, plain dieta. Also, you will not eat that much quantity. You will eat small quantities of dieta, just a few times a day. No, maybe a third of a plate, half a plate, a few times a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, but ideally not more. In that way, you almost weaken the body. And they say by weakening the body, you strengthen the connection to your spirit. About the liquids that you take, you're not allowed to take any pure water in the Dieta. Because the Dieta starts with taking something in your mouth, an energy, that will slowly come into your system. By drinking pure water, you will wash that energy out of your mouth, and you almost wash away the benefits of that Dieta. So in that way, no pure water will be drunk during the whole period of the Dieta. So what can you drink? What you can drink is several liquids, one of them being kaisuma. Kaisuma is a liquid that's made from the macaxeira root. It's a kind of milky substance. It's quite nice in taste. After a few days it can ferment, so the taste becomes less nice. You can drink that in small quantities. Ideally, on the Dieta, you can drink 2 or 3 cups of liquid every day. Also, you can eat water that comes with the bark of a tree that we call muyu. It's a very bitter taste. So to drink that water, very bitter taste, and almost you feel more thirsty after drinking muyu than before. So in the Dieta you will feel thirst. You will know what thirst is in the Dieta. And as well, by weakening the body, you strengthen that connection with spirit. Then celibacy. To pause and calm the sexual energies in your body is a very powerful thing to do. Sexual energy is a huge power that's inside of us. Sexual energy is the power to create life. And that power has almost its own will, its own direction in our lives. So to calm that force and not to be driven by that force, but you drive your life and let that force calm down for a period of time, very powerful thing to do. And that part for most people is challenging, especially for men. For me, that was one of the most challenging things to do in my own dietas. To eat the things I could eat was possible. To drink the things I could drink was possible. I had not so much problems with that. But celibacy, especially then being out of the jungle but still in my dieta, which is possible, more about that later, then being with my partner, Kristen, that was a very big test of strength of the mind and commitment to that dieta. And to go to an extended period of time in celibacy, many lessons will come from that time. Very powerful lessons. The dieta starts with the intake of a sacred something. In the tradition of the Yawanawá, there are few types of dieta. The first dieta in the tradition of the Yawanawá is called suya. Suya, of the name of a spirit that's called in that dieta, is the spirit of protection. Is almost like an initiation on the path to work with the sacred medicines. Also, suya can be used as a method for healing. So if somebody is not doing well or is sick, suya can be used as a prayer, as a medicine to that person to become healed. So suya have different possibilities how to be used, but one of the ways to be used is like an initiation on that path. For most people, that's their first dieta. The minimum time of the dieta of suya is 1 month. Can be also 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but most common is 1 month. 1 month start with taking the liquid of kaisuma that goes in a certain clay pot, and the person that opens that dieta for you in a ceremony of ayahuasca prays to that pot like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Very deep prayer, very concentrated prayer where you put those intentions for your dieta in that pot. This person opening that dieta for you will do that for you. So you communicate to this person what you would like to see in this dieta, what you would like to receive, what you would like to get out of the dieta. And this person goes into that prayer, long, deep prayer. And after 20-30 minutes, this pot is handed to you. And that's what you drink. And in that time of prayer, this liquid that started as the juice, you can say, of the macaxeira root, the yucca root, is transformed in a medicine. And that's what you drink. You will drink that liquid normally 1 time for 1 month dieta. And it's 1 month after that start of the dieta, because drinking that liquid is the start of your dieta. Then 1 month you need to integrate that force in your system. And in that time, after drinking the liquid, you have the dietary restrictions, liquid restrictions, celibacy, and for 1 month dieta you stay 1 month in the jungle, ideally, without any communication, just you and all the forces of nature. That's the process of suya. Very beautiful dieta, very big step, in a person's life to do that dieta, suya. Then the next step in the tradition of the Yawanawá is the dieta with the sacred plant muka. And muka is the most sacred plant in the tradition of the Yawanawá. It's a small potato that comes from the roots of the muka plant. Muka plant is a small plant, not a big plant. And in those roots are several potatoes, each root depending on the age of the plant. So a good size is like this. Smaller sizes are there as well, but they will not be bigger than this. The long root, and you chew that root in a certain way, you swallow the saliva with the liquids that come from that root. Then you spit it, what's left, on your hands, and you go like this with your hands, you put it over your arms, your hands. The healing power of muka will like that go into your hands, and then you blow your intentions with still the muka on your hands into the universe. That's the start of the dieta of muka. After that, in the most pure tradition of taking mukha, 1 year dieta. 1 year is a very long time. It's a whole cycle that the earth takes to go around the sun. And to go through all the seasons, all the days of a year, is a very big process. And in the tradition of the Yawanawá, all true leaders of the tribe, leaders that are leaders of a village, leaders that are spiritual leaders that, hold ceremonies for people, do healings for people, work with plant medicines in a certain way, or other leaders have done a dieta with mukha. Very important step of initiation to become a leader in the tradition of the Yawanawá. And that dieta, not many people have done that dieta. I think in the tribe, I'm not sure, maybe 20, 25 people in this time have done the dieta of mukha. Western people have done the dieta with mukha. I also have done a version of the dieta of mukha. And not sure, but what I was told is till now less than 20 people have done the dieta with mukha. Very big step in a person's life. It takes a long time to prepare to enter the dieta for mukha, because you have to be really ready to do such a big step. And some people take like a year to prepare, or 2 years, or even longer. And it's very important to take that time to prepare for such a step. Because if you go into a dieta, even a 1 month dieta, with haste, with not being patient, maybe you come, you're not ready. And then what you're going to face in that dieta, because difficulties will come. And the difficulty come, and you will break the dieta by, for example, eating sweet, drinking water, breaking your celibacy. It's not a good thing. Because from breaking a dieta, many things can happen. Maybe you have some not so lucky things will happen in your life. Some things that think you will go well, in the end will not go well. Relationships start to change. That force. You came there to ask to receive a certain spiritual force, and you made that commitment with that force to go into that 1 year dieta, and you have broken that commitment by breaking your dieta. If you break your dieta, that force will come back to you, and you will notice that in one way or the other in your life. And all people that have broken the dieta, they all know internally what came back from that decision to break the dieta. It's not recommended to break a dieta. It's not a good thing to do. That's why preparation is extremely important. So to prepare well for dieta, very, very important. 1 year mukha, a very good thing to do is to start with 1 month of suya. Because in that month you will know what the dieta is, which things you will face, which steps you have to take in the dieta. Then after 1 month you will know more clearly if you're ready for the 1 year mukha. Then it will take some time after the dieta to go into the dieta of mukha. Very big step. A step that many leaders of the Yawanawá have taken. Then there are 2 more dietas that don't work with plants. You leave the kingdom of the plants and you go to the kingdom of the animals. And those dietas happen with the runur, the snake, the serpent, the anaconda. One of those dietas is taking the saliva of the anaconda, 6 months. This dieta called runur kamer. I was very humbled by opening the dieta in August 2016, and I finished that dieta in February of this year, 2017. Very grateful for the time. Very strong time that was. Many teachings came from that time. Very humbling period. And then there's one dieta that hasn't been done for a long time. That's a dieta that's with the heart of the runur, the snake, the serpent, the anaconda, runur shina. The dieta has to receive the connection to the spiritual wisdom. A dieta that hasn't been done for several centuries now. Very strong dieta, and I have an intention to open the dieta 1 time. I'm preparing, so let's see what happens with that dieta. It's very difficult to enter a dieta, any dieta. Many people have the idea of opening a dieta, but the dieta has not opened till the day You're on the jungle and starting the Dieta by whatever step is needed to start the Dieta. Till that moment, there's no guarantee for anyone to open a Dieta. Because the moment you take the commitment to take such a big step in your life to do a Dieta, reality will come in. And the smaller dietas that might happen, let's say in Peru or other tribes in Brazil, where you take a certain plan and you do a dieta for like a week or 10 days, those dietas work a lot in the realm of the visions and the dreams. So if you go into a ceremony in a dieta, you know, those visions that you have in that dieta of, let's say, a week, 10 days, will change. And that's the way how the dieta work. You work with a certain master plant, let's say Chiricsanango or Bobinsana, and you feel that plan in a certain way, but you feel that plan more in the ceremonies with ayahuasca. And ayahuasca, the grandmother of all plants, will call in the spirit of that master plan, and you feel, you experience, you are with that spirit in your ceremonies in one way or the other. Very beautiful, those dietas as well. The dietas of the Yawanawá, longer dietas in general, let's say 1 month and longer, they work maybe as well in the realm of the visions and the dreams, but much more they work in this reality, daily life. And those dietas really start to move things in your life. It's a huge process of purification of things inside. Your thoughts, your heart, your fears, your relationships, your work, your commitments, how you show up in the world. Know how much integrity you have between your thoughts, your words, and your actions, your relationships with people. Or maybe you say one thing but do another. The Dieta will bring those things up in one way or the other. And to go through that purification in your life, it's a very strong process. And the moment you start to think about entering a Dieta, that process will already gently start. And some difficulties will come on your path to almost ask you, like a question of the spiritual force, are you really committed to do this? Here is a challenge on your path, a blockage on your path. Are you able to go over it, under it, next to it? Are you able to find a way to keep continuing your path? Or is this challenge something you say, no, I'm going to turn back and this is not my path? And like that, small things or big things will come on your path. And these are all like tests, challenges from the spiritual force that sees everything of you all the time, all your thoughts, all your words, all your actions. If you're with people or if you're not with people, there's complete transparency between you and the spiritual force that's present around us all the time. That force knows you. There's nothing that you can hide for that force. So that force knows who you are, knows your real intentions, your true intentions, and start to put those kind of tests on your path. And to go through those tests is very important, because every step you take and you conquer, you'll become stronger. Your commitment becomes stronger. And all those tests are there to prepare you for that day that you're going to enter that Dieta, and the time that you will be in Dieta, which will be a challenging time in one way or the other. There's no way around that. Dieta will be challenging. It's not a time where you're in the jungle and you think, oh, you're going to sit there and receive knowledge and wisdom and all those things. Maybe that will come from a Dieta, but those things will come much later. Dieta is a challenging period where many things will come up. So you have to be ready to enter that period. And before you have done your Dieta, you have no idea what's going to happen in the Dieta. Also, the people that are going to open that Dieta for you have no idea about how that will be. Those challenges sometimes, maybe many times, result in the person that thinks about doing a Dieta will not enter a Dieta at all. And that process is a very important process. You know, we have seen many things with people wanting to enter Dieta, and then life coming in very strong ways, really telling, no, this is not the time to open your Dieta. Even people, strong things happening in their life, like their job, something happening, or their businesses moving, so they will not be in the position anymore to go to the jungle for an extended period of time. And all that is part of that process of Dietas. And other people, when they're really ready, everything will line up, and of course also steps will come, but these steps will be overtaken, and then you come to the jungle that day to open your Dieta, fully prepared, fully ready. That's the right way to open a Dieta. It should never be pushed. Always go with patience, trusting the process. And for me, I just had a very strong example of that. You know, I'm planning to open a 1-year Dieta, Renew Shina, with the heart of Anaconda for a long time. Since November 2014, the first time I've heard about Dieta, I had the calling inside of me, deep calling, to one day open a Dieta. Now we planned to open a Dieta upcoming February 2018. I prepared all my life, cleared my whole agenda for the whole year to be there in the jungle, or at least 6 months in the jungle and 6 months out of the jungle. And now the Yawanawá voiced that it might not be the ideal time to open. Me being really prepared, that was a big news to receive that. And it brought inside of me a whole process of surrender, being humble, and really listening to the forces and reality, you know, what comes up and what it shows me. And what I saw in that process is that it's very easy, you know, to make a story of something. I'm going to open this Dieta and become this person who will receive this and that from that Dieta. But the Dieta hadn't happened yet. So I had to look deep inside again and really question my intentions and really look on things that might not be completely pure inside of me. Some of the words I've spoken, some of the actions I've taken, some of my thoughts that were inside of me. And that process has been a very beautiful, humbling process that actually took me out of the future, always preparing for Dieta, really being there with my attention, concentration many times. Next year when I'm going to do this Dieta, this will happen always in the future, too, here and now. Because here and now is the only moment we have. And that process of taking me out of the future into this moment has been very humbling, very truthful, and very grateful for that process. So I'm going to the jungle in February anyway, and in that moment we're going to take the decision, yes, it's the moment to open a Dieta, or no, it's not the moment to open a Dieta. And I have surrendered, or I'm surrendering every day more, let's say like that, to that process, in full trust that whatever is going to happen will be the right thing. It's been a very beautiful example of being ready for Dieta, or thinking you are ready, but maybe reality comes and shows something else. To go through Dietas has been one of the most beautiful things in my life. I've learned so much. Many things came from Dietas, growth, many things. But most of all, what comes with the process of Dieta, for me, was humbleness. To go through such strong periods and be really humbled, because in my 6-month Dieta that I finished just the beginning of this year, at some point I was so weak. I lost 12 kilos of weight. And sometimes I would stand up and I had to grab something to not faint and fall on the ground, because my body was so weak from not eating much, not drinking much, being in the jungle, going to many ceremonies almost every day. It was a very humbling experience and very, very grateful. Many teachings came from that. Because working with sacred medicines, or actually in the human experience in general, especially for men, what are the 3 things that will come on your path the moment you grow? Power, money, and sexuality. Those 3 things really drive the life of many people. And to go in the Dieta, it really works with those 3 things. Because power, to be so weak that your body can hardly walk and still show up for the thing that you set out to do. That's really learning how to work with power and to not misuse that power for just personal gain. And to go through that process is a huge learning school to really work with true power. Very humbling process. Sexuality. To be celibate for an extended period of time in your life. You really learn by experience, how sexual energy works and what happens if you tame that energy. Because it can be easy to say, oh, once I'm in that position where I'm leading ceremonies, or once I'm in that position to be a leader, then I will not listen to my forces of sexuality anymore. Then I will not do all these things that are happening in my life with women or men. It's easy to say. But the true way to learn is to be celibate for a period of time. That's where you truly start to learn the forces of sexuality. And money, just to be in the jungle is very strong learning about money in many ways as well. Not be connected and really being there out of, you could say almost the financial world is also very strong lessons. So those three things really come up in the process of Dieta to prepare you, to be a leader in whatever way that means. Because first, to be a leader, you have to be a leader of your own personal life. Things you put in your mouth, your food, your drinks, your words, your sexuality, your actions, your work, your thoughts. That level of personal leadership, that's what you will learn in the Dieta very strongly. Then coming out of the Dieta, even in the Dieta you can go out into the world and you keep your dietary restrictions, your celibacy, all the things, but you can go out in the world and move very carefully. Then you learn how to interact with the people around you. And in that way you can become a leader of the people around you, your family, your partners, your children, your parents. And a leader doesn't mean that you command those people or that you tell those people what to do. No, to lead those people is by example. Showing what's possible to be a human being. Kindness, gratitude, joy, laughter, being in service, helping people. Those things can come up after Dieta, going back to the world. Big invitation is there to really show up for the people. And those two steps are extremely important in the process of becoming a leader. Because the third phase of being a leader, a leader on the bigger scale, in whatever capacity, in whatever way, those things come with grace. They cannot be achieved by force, by will, by pressure. They come almost as a gift from the spiritual energy to you after having done that first step of personal leadership and that second step of being a leader of the people around you. Then that third step will come automatically, almost as a gift. And the process of Dietas helps you to go through those steps and learn about them. It was really beautiful. The Yawanawá told me a story that in the time when the Western people started to visit the Yawanawá, and they came for ceremonies and they came to be in the jungle and to learn about their traditions. The people that had done Dieta, those were the people where the Western people came to. They came to their ceremonies, they came to the houses that did, visiting the tribe with them. And then of course, money started to come in, other things start to come in, and the other of the people of the tribe that might have been before, like, why do Dietas? Why to go to such long periods of sacrifice, to get to that place that we don't know what it really is? They start to think, oh wow, look at those people. Now they're receiving work, they receive attention, people coming to their houses, doing ceremonies, money is coming in, work is coming from that. We want the same. And some people in the tribe, they started to pretend that they were like a shaman. Put some feathers on their head, took a guitar, took a bottle of medicine, and start to lead ceremonies and say, look, I'm Yawanawá, I'm an indigenous person. I can lead ceremonies, I can do this work. And the spiritual leaders of the Yawanawá told me, that happened. And they said, those people are like charlatans. They want to have that power and that communication with people and that place of leadership, but they have not done the right steps, almost like a sacrifice, to actually really reach those places. I said, that's not good. That in the ancient way, nobody in the tribe that has not done the Dieta with Muka would lead a ceremony with ayahuasca. That was the right preparation for that. So it's very important for us to see that as well. Now, when these practices come into the Western world, that we respect those steps and also really be prepared to be in such a place. So for all the people that lead ceremonies, that's a strong invitation to look to the indigenous people, how they prepared all those thousands of years, so we can prepare now in the same way and be truly ready to do that type of work. So dietas, very powerful steps, very powerful processes, very beautiful. Very grateful to have had several dietas in my life. And if you feel the calling to do a dieta, the Yawanawá is a very beautiful place to do dietas. If we can help in any way for you to do dieta, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to help you or to put you in contact with people that could help you. I hope this video gave you some more information about the process of dietas. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you a beautiful day. Sat Nam.